Dear students, so today this is the fourth video lecture, and in this lecture we are going to discuss some of the topics of unit number 3, and we are going to discuss about the different environmental acts which have been enacted in India. The first one is Air Prevention and Control Act 1981. Okay, the same act has been amended in the year 1988. The second act was the Environmental Protection Act that has been enacted in the year 1986. The third one is Water Prevention Control Act enacted in the year 1974 and amended in the year 1988. The fourth one is the Hazardous Waste Act which has been enacted in the year 1989. Then the fifth one is the Wildlife Protection Act which has been enacted in the year 1972. And the last one is the Forest Conservation Act, which has been enacted in the year 1980. Okay, and then it has been amended in the year 1988. Now, so first we are going to discuss about the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Okay, so this act has been enacted in the year 1986. Now, the motivation of this act was to bring a law that comes from the proclamation adopted by the UN Conference on Human Environment at Stockholm 1972. Okay, so Environmental Protection Act basically it envisage the protection of air, water, and our environment. Third point says, although many laws dealing with directly or indirectly with environment, but they are specific to certain types of pollution. Okay, so there are other acts like Air and Water Act, so they are actually very much limited to the quality of air and quality of water. Okay, so Environmental Protection Act is like kind of a mother act which cares of both air, water, and our atmosphere. Now, what was the goal of this act? So, EPA Act main goal was to study, plan, and implement long-term requirements of environmental safety and give directions to as well as coordinate a system of speedy and adequate response to emergency situations. This act was passed to protect the environment as there was a growing concern over the deteriorating state of the environment. The main objectives of the EPA Act was, the first objective was to supplement the existing laws on control of pollution by enacting a general legislation for environmental protection and fill the gaps in regulation relating to major environmental hazards. Okay, so the main objective of this act was to create a general legislation, to create a general law for protection of environment and to fill the different gaps which are there in other laws which have been already enacted. The second objective was to confer wide powers on the central government. Okay, so the powers have been vested on the central government so that it can use it and it can control the quality of air, quality of water, and quality of environment. Okay, so this act makes the central government the repository of wide powers. Okay, and it also entrusts the task of control of pollution on agencies created by the statute, namely state and central pollution control boards. The objective of EP Act is much wider in comparison to Water Act and Air Act. Okay, so also the objective of this Environmental Protection Act is actually much wider. Okay, so the objective is much wider and more elaborate as compared to the previously enacted Water Act and Air Act. Okay, so this is the next objective. And the next one is this act seeks to supplement the existing laws on control of pollution by enacting a general legislation for environmental protection and fill the already gaps which are there in the existing regulations. Now this Environmental Protection Act, it consists of different sections. Okay, so this act consists of almost 26 sections, and these are furthermore divided into 4 chapters. Okay, so we are having how many sections? We are having 26 sections divided into 4 number of chapters in this act. Okay, so this is chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so chapter 1 is like a general introduction to this act. Okay, chapter number 2, it tells the general powers of the central government. Okay, chapter number 3, it tells about the prevention, control, and abatement of environmental pollution. Okay, and chapter number 4, basically it's a kind of miscellaneous information which is given for this act. Now this act was passed in the year 1980. So next is actually Air Prevention and Control Act, and this act is one of the major act which has been passed in the year 1981. Okay, so this date is very important. So please make a note of this date. So it has been passed in the year 1981 to clean out air by controlling pollution. Sources of air pollution such as industry, vehicles, power plants, etc. are not permitted to release particulate matter, that is PM, lead, CO, SOx, NOx, and volatile organic compound as per this act. Okay, so it also debars the industry from releasing the harmful pollutants into the atmosphere. Also under this act, pollution control boards have been set up at state level and at the central level. The most important aspect in this act is for the people themselves to appreciate the dangers of air pollution and reduce their own potential as the polluters of the environment. Now, what were the main objectives of the Air Act? Okay, so please make a note of these objectives. So first objective is to provide the prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution. Second was to provide for the establishment of central and state boards with a view to implement the act. Third is to confer on the boards the power to implement the provision of the act and assign to the boards functions relating to pollution. Now, under this Air Act, both Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board have been set up. Okay, so Central Pollution Control Board we have already discussed in the class in the previous classes. So Central Pollution Control Board, it is also called as CPCB. So it has been established at the central level. The main function of Central Board is to implement laws created to improve the quality of air and to prevent and control air pollution in our country. Central Board also advises the central government on matters concerning the quality of air and coordinate activities, and it also assists the State Pollution Control Board into different matters. It also collects and disseminates information in respect of matters relating to air pollution. State Pollution Control Board. So the state boards have the power to advise the state government on any matter concerning the prevention and control of air pollution. They have the right to inspect at all reasonable times any control equipment, industrial plant, or manufacturing process. They are expected to inspect air pollution control areas at intervals, and they are empowered to provide standards for emissions to be laid down by the different industries. Okay, so these are the general functions of the State Pollution Control Board. The first one is what? First one is that they have the power to advise to the state government. Okay, so basically they assist the state government. They have, so second function is they have the right to inspect at all reasonable times any control equipment, okay, industrial plant or manufacturing process, and give orders to take necessary steps. Okay, next is third is their function is to inspect air pollution control areas at intervals. So basically they go to different industries, they go to different areas, and they try to inspect the air pollution control level at different areas. And next is the most important is that they are having the power to provide standards for emission. Okay, means they are having the power to provide the different standards for different types of air pollutants. The state government has been given the powers to declare air pollution control areas after consulting with the state board, and also give instruction for ensuring standard of emission from automobile and restriction on use of certain industrial plant, right? So basically this point basically says that the state government are having the power to give the different standards of different air pollutants, and they also put a restriction on the usage of automobile in the case the air pollution goes above a threshold level, right? Next is penalties. So persons managing an industry, so managers in an industry, they can be penalized if the emission of air pollutant it actually increases a standard which has been set by the state pollution control board. Now next question is, what is the role of an individual to control air pollution, right? So what at our level we can do to control air pollution. So first and foremost, when you see a polluting vehicle, take down the number and send a letter to the RTO office and pollution control board. If you observe an industry polluting air, inform the PCB in writing and ascertain if action is taken. Right, so you can just give a letter to the pollution control board, and you have to also check that whether any action is being taken or not. Next is use car only necessary. Okay, so you should use more and more substitute of automobiles. So you can use either walk if it is short distance, or you can use cycle, and even you can use a electric vehicle. Share a vehicle space with relatives and friends. So carpooling is one of the best options in case you want to lose the dependence upon the fossil fuels. Next is do not smoke in the public place. This is very important. It is a responsibility of each citizen not to smoke in the public space. Okay. And it is also illegal and it endangers your own health and the health of the surrounding individual. And then we should also refrain from using air fresheners and other aerosol which actually contain chlorofluorocarbon, and that also leads to the depletion of ozone layer. Next is the Water Act, that is also called as Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, and this act has been enacted in the year 1974. The main aim of this act was to prevent pollution of water by industrial, agricultural and household wastewater that can contaminate our water sources. The main objectives of the Water Act is to provide for the prevention, control and abatement of water pollution and maintenance or restoration of the wholesomeness of water, right? So this act basically it has been enacted to provide for the prevention. Okay, so whichever points are there in bold, that is very important. So it has been enacted to make sure that prevention, control and abatement of water pollution is being done in our society, and it also looks for the maintenance or restoration of the wholesomeness of water, right? So it also makes sure that groundwater quality has been maintained, and also water should be restored, right? So how water can be stored safely, and then it can be again used for different purposes, whether it is drinking or sanitation. Now, under this Water Act, we will now see that what are the functions of the Pollution Control Board with respect to the Water Act. So the government, the first point is the government gave powers to the Pollution Control Board to deal with the problem of water pollution in the country. The government also suggested penalties for violation of the provision of the Act. Central and state water testing labs have been set up to enable the board to assess the extent of water pollution, and standards have been laid down to establish guilt and default. The central and state boards are entitled to certain power and functions. Next, the central board has the power to advise to the central government on any matters. The board coordinates the activities of the state board to resolve disputes. The main function of the central board is to make sure that rivers, lakes, streams and wells in the country are clean. The central and state boards are entitled to certain powers and functions. The board lays down or modifies the rules in consultation with the state board on standards of disposal of water. Next, we are going to discuss about the role of business in control of environmental pollution. Okay. So, what do you first we should try to understand that what is the meaning of this topic, role of business. It means that what is the role of an industry in control of air pollution, right? So I think everybody knows that industries are one of the most major contributors, whether it comes to the area of water pollution or air pollution, right? So what an industry can do to control environmental pollution. Okay, this is what it means basically. So first is sustainable audit. So an industry should perform a sustainable audit and reviews their current policies and practices which are sustainable. So they should see that whether the policies, the methods that they are adopting in their industry is sustainable or not. Next is schedule regular sustainability audit. So they should schedule regular sustainability audit to ensure ongoing compliance with external and internal environmental protection, right? So sustainability audits is basically done in an industry to see that whether these industries are complying with the norms of the environment or not. Next is pollution prevention, or simply P2. So it is an approach to environmental protection. So business can look for the ways to avoid waste generation in the first place, right? So pollution prevention basically means that they should change their method, they should adopt a more sustainable approach, they should change their raw material which is less toxic, right? So they should try to stop the waste generation in the industry itself. They should not wait till the manufacturing or the process is already completed, right? So they should try to stop it from at the source itself. Next is adopt new technologies and materials. So they should make changes in their product materials, ingredients and packing. Advances in technology have resulted in the production of more sustainable materials and production methods. Next, again, we are going to discuss some more things about role of business in reduction of environmental pollution, right? So next is evaluate internal processes in your business. Okay. Now what is this internal processes? So what to do to control resource consumption during organization? Okay. So they have to control the resource consumption in an organization. How they can do it? They can adopt a recycling approach. Okay. So recycling bins should be placed in the office at different places for trash disposal. Next is reducing the consumption. So they should encourage employees to minimize waste by reducing unnecessary printing, turning lights off in rooms that are not being used. Travel policies. So they should use more and more uh, arrangements for video conferencing instead of unnecessary travel to distant places. Right. So in this way they can cut resource consumption. Next is facility selection and development. Okay. So it means that how green are your facilities? Your facilities are whether sustainable or not. So whether you are in a warehouse, office building, retail storefront or have a presence in multiple structure, does the building pay for a recycling service? So a question should be asked to an industry that whether they pay for a recycling service or whether they recyclable materials or not. Is the lighting energy efficient or not? Take all of these things into consideration when making decisions about leasing or purchasing a commercial property. Next is consumer education. Sharing your commitment to sustainable business practices with consumers is very important. So you should always share with the consumers that whether you are adopting a sustainable business practice or not. Now what will lead to this thing, that if you are going to share the details with the consumer, then it can also improve the brand image of your whole industry or the whole process, right? And it can also influence the customers to live in a more sustainable way.